So this is my third video of Calliope Corner Yard. It is on June 7th, 2020, and I'm going to show all the plants that are in this long linear planting bed along the western fence of the property. Starting behind the shed here, this is a row of native bleeding heart that is shared with my neighbors. The roots sneak under the ground, under the fence, and I did not know they were here. They completely disappear in the winter. The foliage dies down and sort of melts away invisibly very quickly. So when I bought some in February, I didn't realize I had this whole patch. Hummingbirds will feed from the flowers, and this is where I found aphids feeding on the flower stems and a syrphid fly larva feeding on the aphids, and a nematid wasp laying eggs inside the syrphid larva. In fact, there's the syrphid hovering there now. There was not much in this plot right here, so I planted some natives. I got this stinging nettle from a local grower, which is a fabulous host plant for several butterflies and many other arthropods like it. And if I feel so inclined, I can pick leaves with gloved hands, chop them up and put them in the soup. It's a very good addition to soup. I put another Indian plum here, which will be a small tree, offer to shade some of the other plants. This will all fill in with natives underground. I plan on putting in some wild ginger and oxalis back in here. I left a rose campion. Even it's not a shade plant, but it'll grow anywhere. A volunteer oriental poppy. I planted the snowberry here. Good woodland tree. Here's the native violet that I've planted in several places. One of the volunteer columbines. Before I knew it was a blue one. This is a volunteer hollyhock that I'm letting bloom in the shade of this apple tree. This apple is a Fuji, and it's got quite a few apples on it this year. I'll have to thin them in a couple of weeks. This is a iris that predates the previous owner. He just found it back here. It's a yellow bearded iris, and behind it, also probably predating him, is this daylily. It's the only one in the yard. Another bunch of oriental poppies that kind of spring up everywhere. Ooh, there's a snail. This is one of the bad actors. Then here is a volunteer patch of comfrey here, and then here I cut it down. Here's one that stalk that's coming up from the other side of the fence. I share it with the neighbors. I cut those back about a week ago, 8 days ago, and I cut this one back about 4 weeks ago. The leaves make a good compost tea for the garden. You just steep them in a bucket for a month or so, and then dilute the water, and provides lots of nutrients for the plants. That's what they say. This is a non-native mullein, but I wasn't going to grow anything else in this particular spot, so I left it there. Well, here's a volunteer sunflower that shouldn't be growing here. It didn't know it was going to be a shady spot, that the squirrels beheaded it before it had a chance. This is a native red flowering currant, another native violet. Here's a pink phlox that was a beautiful early spring carpet of pink flowers. This is the southernmost of a whole row of thornless blackberries growing along the wall here, which I'm having to keep in bounds by pulling up the suckers. But it's sending up these new shoots here from the ground, which will be next year's fruiting branches, just like the berries. I'll show you the Mariam berry later. This is the primocanes. This is all growth from this year, from the roots, but it won't flower, it won't produce any fruits until next year. Last year, this fruit cane looked like that, and when these are done fruiting this year, they'll just very slowly die, and then next winter I'll cut them down and attach these to the fence. Something's eating this, I have no idea what. Not too bad. The artichokes were already here, and I think I'm going to have artichoke for dinner tonight. This one and that one look nice and solid and ready just before they open. I didn't know they were artichokes at first. I thought they might be an ornamental, so I asked the previous owners, and they were surprised that they were still alive. There's that one and that one there. Here's the volunteer rose campion. I planted this native here. It's a coptis in the Ranunculaceae. I'm not sure what it's going to be good for, but it's a native. Another volunteer forget-me-not, which is very elegant. Again, it's somewhat invasive, but easy to control. Here's the sick, unwell-looking peach tree. It has about 3 peaches on it. The birdhouse that the house wren took a liking to and filled with sticks, but is now abandoned. They chose a different plant, a different box. This is Centaurea, a European perennial. It was here. The honeybees obviously like it. Here's a couple of peonies that were already here. This euphorbia was already here. It's a Siberian iris that probably stems from the others. There's the bird bath. These are cuttings of a native shrub called Garrya fremontii, Fremont silk tassel. I think this one is still alive. I think it took root. I don't think that one did. It had a little tiny rootlet on the base, but the leaves are dying. My friend Tim got those for me. I stuck in 6 potatoes in the ground here from store-bought red potatoes. And this is the tallest of them. It's already starting to bloom. So those potatoes by midsummer. So the 7 blueberries. This is the one that's should be eating them in about 3 weeks. This is the very big fruited chandler. And this here is a volunteer sedge, which I thought was just rather pretty, so I left it there, but I'm going to have to get it before the seeds fall. I put in a string bean here. There's one called rattlesnake. It'll grow up the bird feeder and give a place for the squirrels to climb up to. And potatoes. There's one of the other blueberries called Duke. Different. This one doesn't look so hot. Wow, the ones over here look really well. I've been fertilizing them all the same way. These are the sunchokes, which seem to be growing at about the rate of 2 to 3 inches a day. This is the patch where I dug up 25 pounds of tubers, and I did not dig out anything here. Thought I heard a nighthawk for a second. This is already here. This is spearmint, and I've actually pulled out a lot of it, and it's shared with the neighbors, but it's easy to control. It doesn't put up too deep. And I thought I was getting rid of it way out here, but then I realized that this is something different. This is very fuzzy, and it doesn't smell as strong, and I believe it's apple mint. Here's another red flowering currant. I think that's a volunteer sunflower. I put in some snapdragons. I got a thing of 6, and they don't look so great, so I'm not sure what's on them. Probably something they got from the nursery. Oh wow, these are my parsnips. I had to look at these today. I saw the first seedling poking up 2 days ago, and they really came up overnight. So I'm going to have 5 parsnips growing here, and 5 parsnips growing over here. Oh yeah, there's one, and there's another. Here's one of my carnations. And these will be ready to harvest probably in September, and then in August I'll sow some more for winter harvesting. Volunteer. There's some more potato. California poppies everywhere in here. I'm pulling out a lot. This might be an anise hyssop. This is a perennial that I saved from the front garden when I was making space for other things, and it has a nice licoricey smell to the leaves. native ocean spray that I put in here. Here's some more of the German chamomile. I put seeds out everywhere. Over there is a moonflower, which is a type of morning glory that is annual in climates like this. It's more a tropical thing with a big white flower that opens in the evenings. And I made this bamboo trellis for it. I didn't really realize that you can look up a way to lash those together that works better than what I did there. It's very rickety and they slide. I've since made some others. I put some bulbs of an Asian lily that I salvaged from the grocery store. They were in bags and they were going to die, so they may or may not come up in there. Here's some volunteer calendulas. This one is in the shadiest spot of the west side here of the house, so it's got powdery mildew. That snapdragon looks a bit better. I scattered some sunflower seeds all along the back of the fence before I realized this was such a shady spot. I planted this rhubarb here. Doesn't seem to mind that it's shady under this willow. So this willow didn't have any leaves in the winter, and I didn't realize it was going to cast so much shade. I had extra strawberries and just didn't know where to put them. Here's some more chamomile. This Sweet William was already here. It was an ugly, sickly looking plant when I was weeding through here, being crowded out by the weeds, but it took off nicely. Here's some of the bearded iris that I saved. Some more calendula. When I weeded through here, there's a lot of stuff I didn't pull if I didn't know what it was, and this was one of them. It was just this one plant, and this is Siberian wallflower, and it's nicely fragrant. This columbine, I recognize as columbine, but I didn't know that it was going to be this double thing. It's a very long blooming one too. Oh, there's Anna's hummingbird just came down to that red flower. Here's one of my carnations. Looking so hot. More calendulas, volunteer. I put a string bean back there. Here's one of the poppy anemones that's continuing to bloom. Started in February. And here's some more of the Trigridia irises that I saved from the grocery store. This is a snapdragon, and I got rid of a big rangy California poppy here. The soil here is too much organic matter and too many nutrients for the California poppies, and they grow weak, long stemmed, not that many flowers. More sunflowers. Here's a mason bee house that I put new straws in for this year's crop. And here's another Indian plum or osaberry, and a patch of the blue bearded iris. It's really nicely fragrant. This is a kiwi, a special kind of a kiwi, small species that the neighbors grow. And then I'll just finish with this row here. Here's my butterfly net for catching cabbage white butterflies. And I just stuck in some sunflowers here and there and saved some columbines when I was weeding. Here's a 9-bark that's not too happy in this spot. I don't think there's a lot in the soil over here. And a native geum. More sunflowers. And more of the tigridias. Just because there was nothing over here. And that is the western bed.